Hey, what's going on, guys? Nate and Phillip once again with another episode of the PokeTalk podcast. Got lots to talk about. This is kind of a winging it episode. We're going to talk about some Pokemon franchise media and some things they could do better, some things they do worse than other franchises, for instance. And we're going to be talking about kind of like a little market update because there is lots and lots of movement in the Japanese market.
It requires to have kind of like a part one, part two of this episode. Kind of a different design, and I'm kind of feeling it. Like it's a little bit different, but sometimes you need to have a little bit of a change up with kind of the format, and I'm really excited for this episode for sure.
Yep. Yeah, if you haven't been keeping tabs, Japan is kind of going through a craze right now. Some would say probably their 2020. But yeah, we had 2020, all the craziness happened in the English side of the hobby. And there were still deals to be found on the Japanese market, but a lot of people really dove into Japanese during that time. And now it's really catching up to people. It's just going crazy, especially Japanese promos, which we're going to be talking about. And we'll probably get into that a little later in the episode. But
yeah,
we got some news, and then we'll talk about our media stuff, which probably be a little shorter part of the episode.
Yeah, pretty eventful last few weeks too, I feel like. And I actually won a D23 Lorcana case, the empty case, like the singlet that has like the Lorcana name on it, and it has the placeholders for the 6 D23 promos that came with the set. And I won it. It was just random. It was like on a Facebook post from an individual that's like a whale in the hobby. He has like a dozen sets, I think, or something like that, of the D23. Just kind of crazy how much money he's able to throw around. But he was like, I don't know what his intentions are. I don't know if he even has a YouTube page yet. But he was just like, we're doing some giveaways, and the first giveaway was a D23 Lorcana case, and it was just like the 15th person that messages me gets it. And it was like 45 minutes prior he made the post. I was like, for shits and giggles, I'm just going to go ahead and message him. Winner!
Yeah. That is weird. Like, why is he doing that giveaway and stuff like that?
But... Well, he's given away... I don't believe it's graded. I believe it's raw. So, but it's a Mickey card, the Mickey promo. So you got to think it's probably not a 10. It's probably an 8 or a 9. If he's giving away, is my guess. Hell, it could even be like a 6 for all I know. It could have like a small indentation somewhere. But that's on the giveaway. He's giving away some of the Lorcana pins, but both of them. I think the staff one and the Mickey one, if I'm not mistaken. And there was something else I think he was giving away. But the Mickey, he's giving it away just around the time of Gen Con. So I'm going to try to see if I can win that. Who knows? Maybe I'll have luck, but... I'm pretty excited regardless. I tried to find the price point on eBay. You remember seeing it dipped at like 200, 180, 200. I remember seeing it at 300. Well, I can't even find it on eBay at this point. Like you type in like MTD 23 Lorcana case, it's the set of 6 cards. Like it has all of the cards in it. Yeah. And you can't find the empty case. And, I think because there's none on eBay, I can pretty much ask whatever the hell I want and see who's willing to pay it. So I mean, it's at minimum like $300-400 in my opinion. On a good day, it might be closer to 1,000. You disagree with that? But the only one on eBay, dude. if I would post it.
Well, being the only one on eBay, yeah, you can ask whatever you want, but it comes down to it, you can buy one of the 9 promos for 1,000.
That's true,
so.
But just wait maybe a little bit longer. Who knows? You know what I mean? It's one of those things where. Now that we're seeing these movement on these Japanese promos, like obviously that was, as I mentioned before, when I made this move back in September or October or whenever the hell it was, I was like, one of the main intentions is to get some grails and get some main goals done within the Pokemon hobby. And now that we're kind of seeing this trickle effect with these promos, And you got to kind of wonder, is it worth trying to make a move on like maybe one of the Poncho Pikachus, for example, because that's still in the range that I could sell that and sell some of my other stuff and not have to spend any of my actual money, quote unquote money of mine. So it's one of those things where it's like a maybe, but at the same time, it's like well, we'll just kind of see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see, as we'll talk about later. There's pretty much becoming, you know, the point where you need to make a decision on these cards for
This
sure.
year, this year, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be right now. Like don't stretch yourself trying to get some of these cards. Don't even necessarily go for 10, but it's like if you're gonna buy these cards, you got to do it this year, in my opinion. Like we were talking about this last year, right? Like with the Mario Pikachu.
Hmm.
And obviously by next, even like the 20th anniversary festo, we were like, if you're thinking about, or even the EV Hero box, we are like, if you're thinking about buying these items, you need to do it like within the next year or so. And that still kind of stands because at the rate these are going, it's only natural that eventually it's going to price a lot of folks out. So if you're like thinking about these cards, you're going to have to make that decision, make the moves necessary now to try to get it by the fall.
Yeah, and we've been saying pretty much all year, all these episodes, even back to last year, like you said, 2020 was really a downtrend in the hobby. But one thing that like stayed steady that whole time was these promos. So they pretty much held steady through the decline. Beginning of this year into early spring, they started to slowly tick up. We were watching it, and now all of a sudden, just things have gone crazy. So, yeah, it's like we'll touch upon this later once again, but it's like, is this another 2020 hype? A lot of people are, wishing they would have sold more in 2020. So a lot of people are like, oh my God, you should sell now because it's going to crash just like English did. But
I disagree, but
yeah, Japanese is its own thing. Plus, we're not really, a lot of the hype on the English side was set cards. And Japanese promos are a different beast for sure. So yeah, it's going to play out a little differently, I think. But anyway, what else you got for the news right now?
well, I was just gonna say we also played a little bit of Pokemon this past weekend. Got the whole gang together. One last hurrah. We had a friend that was moving away, and we had the Shadow Mewtwo event where Niantic basically forced folks to do in-person raids, which was interesting to kind of revisit. It felt like it was kind of nostalgic for me. You saw what was great about it with people interacting. You saw what was bad about it with people fucking, or excuse me, parking. just
Parking
parking
at a stoplight.
wherever, yeah, or just flipping their flashers on in the middle of a road. And like, dude, come on, like have some common sense. Just because we've had gyms removed here in town because of stupid crap like that. And I was telling folks, and like people are like, "Well, why do you care so much?" And I was like, "Dude, me and my friend and like two others, we created over 70 gyms in the last year and a half. Like, we don't want to have all this stuff go away, and because of stupidity, people that don't know how to be respectful and conscientious of their environment. It's just common sense. You would think.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty fun. I saw they got Shadow Articuno coming up. That's going to be shiny, but as much fun as I had with it, because it was a Pokemon that was already around, um,
Hmm.
it wasn't as exciting. But yeah, so I don't know how much in-person rating I'll be doing for like Shadow Articuno,
Well, this
but
is the next stage of their honey. This is how they're gonna like because Shadow. They've made the shadows where they're obviously they boost their attack significantly. Now you can't mega evolve them or anything, but they significantly boost their attack. So in a lot of situations for PvP or even raids, not so much as raids anymore, because people don't really like take pride in like short manning raids like they did in the past. It seems like, but it allows that for a much higher DPS. But with Shadow Mewtwo with like Psycho Cut Ice Beam, it's like that hits so hard. It's like, I mean, how much better is Articuno really? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, it's one of those things where they're just kind of driving into to Kanto and just trying to obviously money grab it. Like I'll obviously do some, but like I'm not going all day. Like a shiny shadow Articuno. Like I got two regulars, but 90 shiny shadow Articuno. It's just like you gotta evade the FOMO. You just gotta enjoy it, but not give in to FOMO.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I don't need like, I got decent Articunos. Probably won't go out of my way to even do any unless there's like a group getting together and like, oh yeah, I'll join. But yeah, this is obviously the next phase. They had XL Candy with the level ups going to level 50, and now they got Shadows, and they're going to go through the entire, legendary raid system to get the Shadow legendary. So it's
Yep,
like, well, if I can not care now, I'll get ahead of the curve. Like, if I miss Articuno, it won't be a big deal for me to, miss Zapdos and Moltres. If it's
well,
like
yeah,
if it's like Mewtwo, like yeah, I'll try to get some because he's the best. But it's like, do you really need to go all crazy with it? I mean, if you just think back in the day before shadows were even a thing, we were getting by just fine and having just as much
exactly.
fun. It's like, yeah, they're better, but I mean, you don't need them. Pretty
No, especially Articuno. The Zapdos and Moltres is a different scenario, but Articuno, at least in this game, with all the other ice types, is like the least necessary, if that makes sense. Because you got like Mamoswine, and then you got like especially Mamoswine's easy to get to level 50. You can get Shadow Mamos. I mean, it's just there's better Pokemon honestly for the ice aspect, and it's basically just trying to get the shiny. You know,
yeah. Yep. I'll if I'm out and about, I'll do a couple, but it's like I don't know. I'm not gonna try. I don't really even care. I even thought about just transferring all my shinies to like the handheld games and like keeping a list on there because it'd be a lot more simpler. There's no shadows on there, and like I can use Pokemon Go as a way to get shiny legendaries easy. So once Pokemon Go um, and Pokemon Home becomes one with like Scarlet and Violet, I'll probably do something like that because Pokemon Go is fun and all, but it's like, I don't have the grind in me like I used to, and it's like my second account, so pretty much I've gotten over level 40 twice, and it's like, nah, I don't really care anymore. But it's fun just to mess around. Let's see, what else do we have on the old news? Got some more 151 leaks.
leaks, yeah.
Yeah, probably won't go into
It,
much of those because we might have
no.
an episode there.
I'd say the biggest thing is probably Fanatics buying PWCC. That's probably the biggest in the news rotation these past 2 weeks.
Yep, yep. PWCC was picked up by Fanatics. If you don't know, Fanatics is pretty much a heavyweight in the sport world. I was gonna look up their
Making crap
IPs
clothing.
here. What?
I said making crap clothing.
Yeah, yeah. They don't they have the rights to all the clothing for MLB or someone
Pretty
else?
much. So I actually used to work at a clothing store for a little bit, and it was the sports. It had a lot of sports clothing, and I'll tell you what, Fanatics was the most overpriced crap you could possibly get. Like here's $35, $40 for a T-shirt, and like you look at it, and it was like it felt cheap. Like it just felt like you shouldn't be paying $40 for this at all. It felt like it probably cost them $4 to make a shirt, and another $2, $3 for licensing or whatever, and they're just getting pure profit. You know what I mean? It's just like there was other brands that was comparable in price that made much better quality shirts,
Yeah,
like the 47 brand, for example. There's different ones that were much better. It's just just the feel of it on my skin is just maybe want to like it makes me like shake kind of like because it feels like itchy kind of or like I don't know. It's hard to describe, but if you've ever worn a Fnatic shirt, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah. Yeah, I was trying to pull up a list of their companies here. Let's see what they
Ugh.
got. Is that good? I guess. Whatever you're drinking,
Well, oh,
just gotta.
it's it's a mango passion fruit Celsius drink. They got really good stuff, but like I get this one from Sam's,
Oh
so it's like
yeah.
a huge pack, and there's like the only one I really care for is like the orange, and then it's this mango one, which is okay, and then there's like the kiwi one, which is kind of.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's just kind of like it's good, but yeah, it's kind of.
All right. So here's the things. Fanatics own, I guess, MBAs in a multi-year partnership to have a store in New York City. They operate the NBAstore.com. They operate NFLshop.com. They obtained a license from NASCAR to sell merchandise trackside at all Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Yeah, they got a couple other things with NASCAR. They got a hybrid blend of haulers and smaller Fanatics tents. NHL, they partnered with Adidas and the NHL to unveil a new hockey jersey with Fanatics. Um, let's see. I guess Fanatics and Adidas also partnered up to make NHL hats in 2017, which ended the 20-year New Era contract. And MLB, they got a merchandise deal with Fanatics and Nike. So they pretty much go into these partnerships with some pretty big companies. This is the biggest announcement for the sports card world, though, in August 2021, which this is what I heard a lot about. And when I started to familiarize myself more with Fanatics, they are taking over the MLB baseball card license from Topps after 2026. So that could be huge. So Topps is who creates all the MLB cards. And in 2026, that is no more. Fanatics will be taking that over, but
Well,
Fanatics
I
also
still
bought
think
Topps themselves, so they might continue that line. But
I was going to say it's probably one of those things where they're going to keep it the same name. I think
yeah,
because the Topps name is more important than renaming it Fanatics Trading Cards. I would see them letting it keep it because the brand itself is better than having it be straight Fanatics. That's what I would think. But the issue becomes so they're owning the whole entire pipeline, right? Like there's other sports cards like brands like Panini and other stuff like that, but if you own Tops, you own PWCC. What's next? You're going to buy a grading company? Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. But once that happens, it's like okay, let's just start pulling these cards and let's pull the numbered cards and let's make it to where we're selling it on our PWC site and we're hyping it up. It just kind of creates a situation where you kind of have to have questions on some of the markets and got to start be kind of careful about what you're buying, at least with the sports cards.
yeah, yeah. It's they're trying to build the ecosystem, which makes sense. They're buying a marketplace, so they have this history. It appears of like looking for struggling companies. PWCC hasn't been doing so hot compared to eBay or Golden Auctions or Heritage Auctions. So they decided to scoop them up. Yeah, pretty much the only thing they're missing is a grading company itself. A lot of people were suggesting maybe BGS. That seems to be, the most likely option if they are going after a grading company. Beckett has been slipping over the last few years, especially with PSA's rise over the last decade. PSA's been around a lot longer than that, but over the last 10 years, PSA has slowly been pretty much becoming the face of TCG collectibles and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's hard to say what will happen, but I'm sure they would like to get their foot on a grading company for sure. But yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Any other news? They're making Detective Pikachu 2 coming out next year.
Maybe.
So
Well, it probably
exciting.
will, but when it does, with the writer's strike, it might not be till like fall or something.
Yeah.
But based on the writing for the first one, probably don't need any writers. Bing.
Yeah, I can't say that I'll be watching that one.
I'll
So,
watch it. I'll watch it. I like seeing movies in theaters because it allows to break away any distractions. I got ADHD, and sometimes it's really difficult for me to concentrate at home without distractions. But whenever I go to movie, like my focus is solely on the movie, and certain movie companies actually make it to where you can enroll in like a subscription program, and it's a great deal as long as you see like two movies a month. It pays for itself.
yeah. Do you need to go see Pokemon Detective Pikachu 2 in the theaters, though?
I mean, if I got the membership, like when I'm going to see like the Spider Verse movie, for me seeing like the 3D version, it's only a plus $2 surcharge. I mean, and I got a free large popcorn for my first visit already. So like I mean, it's going to pay for itself almost with just this next visit. So and I have a 3 month plan until like September.
Yeah.
So it pays for itself if you know you're going to see movies. If you don't like going to movies, then it's not for you. But
But do you need to go see Detective Pikachu in the theaters, though?
I'll probably see it. Yeah, I'll probably see it. It is in the summer, 2024. I don't. I know there's some big movies. 2025 is the big year for movies, at least for like the comic book aspect. But yeah, I'll probably see it.
Yeah. Well, you have to let me know how it is.
I mean, I will. And you got to get all the promos that comes with it too.
Ah, I'll ditch some of those.
But
Anyway, yeah, speaking of movies, though, I guess we can go on to our main little chat.
yep.
Um,
So
yeah.
I mean, there's, kind of going since I just kind of said I bought that subscription plan. The reason why I bought that was because the sheer amount of movies, like amazing movies that are coming out this year. I got it just before Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That was kind of the first one. Then you have like Across the Spider Verse that's coming out. It just came out this week. And then in 2 weeks, you got Flash, you got the Elementals movie from Disney, and then you even have somewhere around there, you're going to have the Beast War, or you're going to have the Beast Transformers movie. You're going to have Oppenheimer, the new Christopher Nolan movie. You're going to have the new Scorsese movie in the fall. You got, Marvels. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out this year. Like I kind of like 15 movies that look good enough for me to see in theaters that's coming out this year, and I was like, holy cow! I might as well get this.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some pretty good ones coming up. Um,
Dune, the next Dune's coming out.
yeah, I was getting ready to say that's what I'm most excited for. But yeah, I recently rewatched the first one and did another deep dive on the history and lore of Dune. I kind of want to try to knock out some of the books. Um,
The
maybe
very dense
maybe
reads,
before. Yeah,
very dense, almost dry at times. But yeah,
yeah. I've never tried with those for some reason, but yeah, I'd like to get in there for the second one. It's gonna be pretty good. Um,
well, I would say the first one was so good that I wish I would have saw it in theaters.
yeah, yeah. When did that come out? Was that?
It was like 2021, I think,
Yeah, that's when
or something
COVID
like that. Yeah,
started really getting bad again here. Because yeah, during our 2020, we kind of had a little bad run of COVID, but our worst year was like 2021, I think. But yeah, that was unfortunate timing for that movie. Still did very
hmm
well though.
yeah. It was released very quickly towards HBO Max, if I recall, and that's how I watched it. And after seeing how visually stunning it was, like the scene where like the spaceship rises from like the sea. Oh my god, that was one I was like, I haven't seen such like a visual spectacle. Like the last one that I recall was like Interstellar. That I kind of got that vibe with, and I was just so engrossed with the visuals, And I mean, everything about the movie good. The writing was good. The acting was good. You know, it was just kind of everything. But the visuals is what I wish I would have seen in the theaters for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to definitely see this one in theaters. But
We can go catch it together unless you want to see it hit the misses.
she might go see it. I don't know, but yeah, I'd be
but
down for sure.
but anyways, there's a lot of movies coming out, and it kind of got us on this subject of where is the Pikachu or where's Pokemon? There was also just the recent success, the $1 billion success that was the Mario movie, that was driven by pure nostalgia. Let's face it, the writing was not the best, but it was fun. It was a fun family movie. It was. It was entertaining, but the writing was like kind of. But it did well in adapting from the gameplay that made it fun, and it made it like it honored the game, it honored where it came from, but also was a family movie that was fun and funny. And you kind of wish it's like this movie was successful just basically on a mediocre script with great animation, but it hit the right key points. And then you kind of look at like Pokemon, and it's like, where are they at?
Yeah.
Where are they at?
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing for me is like seeing all these amazing movies and even games. I think I mentioned this before, like the what was it? The Hogwarts Legacy for Harry Potter series. Like they made that game. I think it was last year, or was that the beginning of this year? I don't even remember.
I think it was earlier this year.
But that game was received so well. It was so well done. It looked beautiful. It was just basically you thrown into the Harry Potter universe where you had the same castle, same like landmarks, and roughly the same terrain and experiences, but you got to do your own story and all that. You got to pick your house. Yeah, pretty much live in the Harry Potter universe. And it wasn't really like an MMO, it's just like a standalone game. Just imagine what Pokemon once again could like do with something like that. If they put that effort in, it's just insane. And the new Legend of Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom,
Yep.
people are head over heels over Breath of the Wild, and even more so for Tears of the Kingdom. Like made Breath of the Wild look like a small DLC for what the possibilities could be. But then a lot of people, like I watched who was it? Reversal used to be a Go player now.
Pokemon Go, yeah.
Yeah, now he streams a lot. He streams Scarlet and Violet a lot, and he's doing a shiny hunting on there. But yeah, he played Tears of the Kingdom, and it basically made him sad for Pokemon, just seeing what Tears of the Kingdom could do. Like they could, turn Pokemon into something like that, and it would be nuts. But unfortunately, they're lacking behind. And we talked about the whole Game Freak thing, and their movies. They seem to just have fun with their movies and make them kid friendly, which is totally understandable. But just accept it and build that universe. I mean, look at Disney, for instance. They make such a wide range of things.
Yep.
Star Wars alone, it's got like a little comic series. They had the Clone Wars series. Then they have these movies and like very serious spin-off shows. It's like, come on, just give us something. Like everything that comes out is amazing, like just to have Pokemon content, but it's just so lackluster in the execution or like what it could be. So
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I am getting tired of this Pokemon is just for kids thing. At this point, it's generational. It's meant for all ages, just like Disney. And Disney does that even with some of their movies, like the anime movies, like Frozen, right? Frozen is a movie that I think is great. Like I will watch still every so often just on my own because I think it's a good movie. There's other movies, even Frozen 2 is kind of like that. That was pretty entertaining. There's movies you can have that are obviously geared towards kids, but everyone of all ages can enjoy. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that Pokemon has missed so far. The most obvious one, or the most recent one, like just look at Detective Pikachu, right? That was a movie that obviously was geared towards kids, but they made that to where that was the sole intention. Like they made the writing so poor, so predictable that it starts to drag on by the time you get into the third act, right? I
Yeah.
mean, just to not even like the necessarily like the animation designs of some of the characters, which were okay overall, but it just falls apart. It falls flat. It's just like we're just gonna get some generic writing going on to make this movie, and we're gonna triple our money, quadruple our money. I think like Pikachu 2 made like just under 700 million worldwide. They probably cost them with the media like maybe a quarter of that, so maybe a third of that. So it was a major success for them.
Yeah.
But you take a look at that, and it's like, okay, if Mario got $1 billion, okay, why couldn't the movies with Detective Pikachu do that or Pokemon do that? So now you kind of have to look back at that movie, and you have to ask, did it underperform of what it could have done? And I think it's a real question. Like, how can they increase their game? And now with after Mario, like Nintendo is taking over from Illumination Studios, and that's like Steve Carell's company or whatever it is, like the one they did like Despicable Me and that whole line and all that. Always like some good movies in there, but like I think they did Hotel Transylvania. That movie was pretty good too, but like the writing falls flat, and even the humor sometimes, and that's kind of what you saw with the Mario movie. They might have played it safe, I don't know, but now people are calling for like an NCU, a Nintendo Cinematic Universe,
Yeah.
and obviously that entails Zelda or Link, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. For like the universe, and then you have Star Fox, you have Pikachu, you have Pokemon, you have Kirby, Metroid Prime. I mean, there's all these franchises under the Nintendo umbrella where you can really create an actual universe. And I'm one of my friend's kids were asking during the Mario movie, and this was at their place, obviously, where's Pikachu? Where's Pikachu? Where's Pikachu? Kind of like with the Smash Bros. Universe. And it's just like, obviously there's demand there, right? And you have to wonder, Nintendo will split the rights, I imagine, with Pokemon. I don't know, like, the legal mumbo jumbo surrounding how that would be made. But you kind of have to wonder, do you even want Pokemon in charge of that? I kind of don't. I'd rather have Nintendo in charge of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, based on Pokemon's track record, even their animated movies are pretty lackluster. Like DC Universe animated movies, for the most part, they're pretty damn good. Like, throughout the last 20 years, even. I mean, there's some like duds in there, obviously, but they're still pretty good. Um, and you have to wonder, like, why can't even Pokemon get it right for their animated movies? They're just unwilling to invest the money in it because they think it's going to be successful regardless. They have a certain profit margin they want to hit, and they get that profit margin, and they find that acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like a, revolving door. A little idea comes in, they throw it together, and then they throw it out there. Then they wait till the next idea comes in. Like, the new Pokemon Snap, Legends Arceus. Some ideas are better than other. Why don't they see the success of Legends Arceus and just run with that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was a totally unique game. Changed all we know about Pokemon games, but it made it a different experience. So I guess they kind of tried that. Pokemon Snap 2 and all this stuff, but it's like just the execution of it is just, they're good games, but it's just kind of meh when it's all said and done. Especially with the Let's Go games. I mean, those were kind of lackluster. It was cool, and it did have a nice art style to explore Kanto once again. But, another point to that, like, we're so starved for, like, Johto content. It's unreal. It's like, I mean, at this point, the Arceus generation has seen more, like, way more action than even Johto itself. So,
Well, and then you kind of have to ask, like, if they did go with the Johto, would they honor the original Gold and Silver games and allow you to go into Kanto?
yeah,
It's.
I don't know.
I think that's something. It's like they're missing a lot of potential by just playing it safe. Like they're so risk averse, it's detrimental. I would phrase it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to just get risky. I mean, yeah, some things will flop, but it's like they
They'll still make the
just,
money.
yeah, they just do the bare minimum just to, keep things good, which is a smart play in a way, but they could just go crazy with it. One thing I wanted to touch on is the downside to all this. You see Disney making their own TCG, making all these shows and all these
Yeah.
spin-offs and their own streaming service, and they've really got it locked down where they can just, crank the power to 10 and just pump out whatever they want. Um, Pokemon has the power to do that currently. They're highest grossing media franchise of all time. I mean, surely they can get something locked down or put that to use, but they're just turning the wheels on the machine year after year. If they really want to stay competitive in the future, I think they have to kind of not necessarily do a pivot, but adapt to the times and really set themselves up to become this well-oiled machine that can do whatever they want. So I feel like they can do that. They just don't right now. And I think it's a pretty big downside to them. I mean, looking ahead, like, yeah, if Lorcana takes off, I mean, with all their shows and stuff that they are actively producing year after year, the sky's the limit there. And
Well, yeah, I would think that eventually, like maybe not this year. We haven't heard anything about this year. I imagine Disney's going to wait and see. But I could see by the end of the year, Disney announcing a Disney Lorcana media franchise in terms of like an animated show in the line of Pokemon. I could see them doing that. They may not do like the continuous episodes like they did with OG Pokemon, but maybe like 20 episode seasons or something like that that
yeah,
correspond with the sets and everything. And you have all these IPs and under one roof, like literally everything under Disney. And I could see that becoming incredibly popular with the kids, right? Like Hercules, The Little Mermaid, so like Ariel, Aladdin. I mean, just name any of them. Lion King, just name any and all of them. Imagine all of that in one show, right? That is going to be successful out the gate. I would watch that just to see what it's like. Like that's like nostalgia overload,
yeah,
right there. And so Pokemon is about to have like they've had like competitors, quote unquote, in the TCG game, but never like this. And if things go like we do think they are, like with the show, like a show and all that, I mean, it's going to start putting the pressure on Pokemon. Like, okay, start producing. Even the shows need a little bit of a. Well, I will say the most recent generation of the Pokemon show is one of the best ones in a long time. I'll say that. But it's one of those things where it starts to put the pressure on Pokemon to start producing quality content because it's like, why? So we're the first generation that obviously, like, our generation is slowly approaching 40 in terms of those that grew up with Pokemon, so you have the kids and then Pokemon Go allowed even another generation above that. So you got pretty much at this point 3 generations of Pokemon or so that are into Pokemon.
yeah,
And obviously, that third generation doesn't have really any buying power. It goes to their parents, or it comes from their parents. But as time goes on, more and more are introduced to it, and it just keeps on growing. And the demand for that media franchise to produce, I think, will increase. And I know they just got rid of their CEO, right? Pokemon did. I don't
well, they
know if
stepped
that's
down. Yeah.
he stepped down is what it was. He stepped down is what it was. I don't know if that maybe is a sign of wanting to have a little shakeup of a different direction.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. And he is getting up there in age. So yeah, maybe he wanted to change it up. He's still involved. He just stepped down like as his position. But yeah, it could mean a sign for a little shake up for sure. So
Yeah, I mean, you have all these like media franchises. You got obviously Marvel's well established, DC's doing kind of a soft reboot, and a lot of people are here for that. With after seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think anybody who questions James Gunn's ability to create a success in the comic book world is naive and ignorant at best. It's one of those things where I'm so hyped for it because I love comics, but I'm obviously a huge DC guy first and foremost. So I'm really excited for that. And then you start to have this NCU possibility with the Mario success, and then you have Mortal Kombat starting to have its own franchise with these movies. I mean, you just really have to ask yourself, where's Pokemon? Where is the biggest IP brand in the world?
Yeah.
They don't have the success that merits their standing, honestly, outside. Like they're still kind of going off like the same formula more or less from 20 years ago, aren't they? 20, 25 years ago, it seems like it.
Yeah. I mean, they are doing more with the games and they are producing a little more like, sets per year. They're doing the special sets and all, but yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much like Game Freak in general. It's just kind of, status quo doing the thing. But yeah, it's just very disappointing. And I do like the games. Like, I like Scarlet and Violet, but, story aspect wise, are just very much surface level. This time around, though, it was more quality that was really disappointing than anything else. But yeah, I don't know. They could just do so much more. And yeah, it's almost kind of like now the way to like get success as far as like getting yourself out there is, be present on social media. You almost have to build a presence or build a following or, your own little circle. That's essentially what these brands have done. They've built their following obviously over the years just by being who they are and what they've done. Disney example, no surprise there. But they're expanding on that. They're building a family. They're building their streaming service. They're building all these shows. Instead of having one show that appeals to their biggest audience, they have like 5 shows that appeal to everybody.
Yeah, either
So
even starting to do that with Marvel to an extent, because yeah, the biggest issues that complaints I've had against the MCU, and now I'd be one of those people that have said this as well. Like, first off, obviously, I know I said I'm a DC guy, but like I said, I love comics. I love the whole MCU. I watch those movies every year. Yes, every year. And you have to ask yourself if their formula that they've used has kind of became exhausting. Like, I know, like, especially their most from phase 4 to 5, really. Well, 5 just started, but this is like phase 4 really was kind of lackluster. Even the ones that were supposed to be successful were lackluster because, like, I didn't like Shang-Chi because it was predictable. It was so predictable, and it was the same old thing. People are like, "Oh, it was so good." It's like, hold that thought there. I don't think that movie's going to age well. The initial reactions were like, "Oh, it's good," because it was, it was kind of it was pretty much all Asian cast, so it was you haven't seen that before, so it's kind of like something they did with the Black Panther, and that was cool. I personally had some issues with the propaganda they had with like the Chinese propaganda, like they were trying to get it in China and they couldn't get it in China, and but like the writing was still there.
yeah,
Like if you ever go back and rewatch that movie and see how much they condescend on like Americans in general, and like kind of have this like mentality that's definitely was meant to appeal towards a Chinese audience, and it was so thick. I was like, ugh. Like I kind of I didn't like it because of that. It was entertaining of a movie, I'll admit, but like it was one of those things where I just didn't really care for it. And I think as you like, I love the actor that played the Shang-Chi. I think he was fantastic, but overall, you just kind of have to ask yourself, it's the same old thing time and time again. But they're trying to branch out a little bit by resurrecting the Daredevil series from Netflix. That was some of the best Marvel content ever made. Because yes, it was gritty, but it was like the full potential of what Marvel could be with Daredevil and the Punisher. Whereas we have what Disney has made it to be, and they're trying to honor the Daredevil seasons with how gritty it was, how violent it was, how real rounded it was, and they're going to try to keep that sort of tone into the next season, and we'll see if they're able to maintain it. But the biggest thing is, it's like it still feels like it's meant for children, right? The MCU, and that's one reason why people are getting tired of it, because it's just the same thing over and over again. That's why Guardians 3 was so good, because it was different. It had this like emotional, heartfelt moments, and it had these unique things that you haven't seen in a while in the MCU. That's what made it so successful. Is they deviated from the norm, and it's just one of those things where you can see how successful you can be if you deviate from the norm. Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
But you're so afraid to go away from it because you just need that money. But then you get like what you had with Ant-Man Quantumania, how it just flopped.
What was the main problem with that one?
So the CGI, I actually just watched it like 2 weeks ago, and the CGI was pretty bad. MODOK was like almost like a joke. Like you couldn't believe they actually somebody okayed that design and that CGI with that. Like it could have had potential. Like it was, the visuals were cool, like with like some of the characters, but there was like no development on these characters. They were just kind of there, and they were just kind of meant to be like. It seems like they were trying to duplicate a James Gunn movie, but missing the whole time. And then there was like this lack of character development that would have played a significant role in like Paul Rudd's daughter, like Ant-Man's daughter or whatever. Like they're trying to make her like the next Ant-Man in some ways, which is fine. But like there's no development really. It was just like, yeah, like there was the whole dialogue was like for plot development, but not character development. If that makes sense. It was like jumping. Like all of a sudden you're jumping to the next aspect. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're in the quantum realm now, and like there's like almost no development. It's like, okay, we're here. It's like what? And like
Yeah.
the best part of that movie was Jonathan Majors, and based on the legal issues he's in, who knows if he's even going to see another time on the big screen, because he made that movie watchable. His incredible acting, and without Jonathan Majors, that movie is the worst Marvel movie ever.
Yeah.
Like straight up, yeah, straight up. Like I would say that he alone carried that movie to make it decent.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But yeah, even so, I mean, just a blimp in the sea of movies. Like Pokemon is worried about doing all that stuff. I mean, yeah, they'll be fine. They're more future proof than even Disney, I would say. Like as far as doing something, but I don't know. They just need to figure it out and step up their game, like we always say. But we'll see if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, you got other movies that you kind of looked at like that really did well by going for a general audience was Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish. If you haven't seen that movie, it is incredible. They did take some inspiration from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse a little bit with some of the animation style, but they adopted it in a certain way that kind of made it its own. And the villain in there was like, even I loved it, but like a lot of kids were like, it's scary. Like it was that good. No, it was they had the villain be like that good, like genuinely like an actual villain, and the animation was just so crisp and incredible. Like it's you see that and it's like Pokemon could do this, but chooses not to. So
Yeah. Haven't seen that one either. Can't say I will, but
it's pretty good. Like it's like got like an 8.0 IMDb rating or something like that.
yeah, knowing that and knowing the scale of the Puss in Boots franchise,
Yeah.
it's yeah, just once again, it's like why can't Pokemon do that? But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, though, yeah, that's kind of pretty much all I wanted to touch on. I know it's kind of a dry topic, but with all these, Mario's and all that now, all the talk with the Mario movie, it's just, man, it's, I feel like we needed to talk about it again. But if you'd like, though, we can go ahead and hop into our
Well,
Japanese market talk, unless you got
for
something
sure.
else.
I just want to say one more thing. One more thing.
One more
Um,
thing.
But I kind of understand probably why we won't see this. But I would like more TCG collaborations with the. This is kind of like Pokemon getting outside of its norm, right? We saw it with Mario Pikachu, and now that like Dragon Ball has its own card game again, well, I guess they've had for a while. Then you have now One Piece has their own, and Naruto had their own, but not anymore. But then you have something like Ichigo Bleach, and you have all these big IPs, or even like, well, Demon Slayer has their own card game now. Everybody has their own card game now. But what I would like to see is more collaborations. Like Lord of the Rings and Magic recently, or they currently have one right now. And I would like to see more stuff like that. Kind of these special sets with collaborations. That's something that I think can make it more intriguing. And I don't know if we will maybe even promos. Sets would be cool, but promos would like standalone promos would be sufficient in and of itself if necessary, if that's all we could get. But that's something else that they could do to like reach more audiences without sacrificing their IP, like their name.
Hmm. Yeah, Magic. That's pretty much how they're surviving right now. Is doing all these collabs. Lord of the Rings one seems to be the biggest so far. They got the One Ring, which is a one of one.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a whole chase on that. They have
Has
collectors
anybody
boxes.
found that card yet?
The set isn't released yet.
Oh, I thought it already came out. I remember hearing about that card like 5 months ago. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, it was probably a couple months ago, but yeah, it seems like a while. They're definitely hitting the marketing hard. But yeah, it's going to be a good set. They have these collector boxes that are going pretty crazy right now. But yeah, I mean, relying on that hype, it's just, kind of sad to see that happen. But at least Magic's got a little something going for it. But yeah, it'd be nice to see those collabs. WotC and Pokemon kind of still have the beef. But yeah, it's kind of hard for those collabs when you're talking about across the games. But we've seen plenty of clothing line collabs, especially with artists like Unagaba with the Eevee promos. I mean, that stuff is just instant classic, just having those cards, and it's just such a cool thing to do, and hopefully there's more of that going on. But, yeah. Why not Pokemon and Lego? I mean...
Or that one. Yeah, that would be cool, too. Have, like, a Lego themed set, right? That'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about that before. I mean, Pokemon has their own Lego style toys, which suck because, they're not Lego. But yeah, it'd be nice to see something like that. Official Lego line of Pokemon, and then that could be literally win-win for both companies, and they could go however far they want with that. So that would be insane. But yeah, I guess moving on to the Japanese talk and the little market update. We're just going to kind of touch on some things in the Japanese market. Like we said, it has been kind of going crazy. It's like a 2020 2.0 as far as prices go, but I think there's a lot of differences that we can look at this time around. Like we said, the main focus for us has been on Japanese unique promos. Just to get a sense of some of these cards and how crazy they've been. I think I sent this to you like for my 20th anniversary Festa Pikachu. It was the beginning of 2022 when I bought this card, okay? What was it? I bought the card for like $2,800. Took a risk on a raw copy because PSA 10s were going for like $35 to $4,000 at the time. Got lucky, got the 10 cards worth like $4,000. All the way up until the end of last year, it was worth about $4,000. Never really moved, but stayed very steady, which we talked about. moving into probably beginning of April, that card had went up to about 6,000. And, I purely thought it was just because there were less copies. As at most, you'd only see 1 to 3 copies of most of these cards, like Mario, Pikachu, 20th Vesta, and the ponchos that we're going to talk about. At most, you'd only see 1 to 3 of those on eBay at any given time. So, it's people pricing it whatever they want, trying to get more. So that's kind of the situation you saw at the beginning of the year. But all of a sudden, all the ones that went at auction for April and May have been climbing very drastically. I think one of them in early April was auctioned by either TCA Gaming or the next one was old Rusty over there. One sold for like 13,000, and then another one auctioned like a week later, like the middle of May, or maybe the second week of May, going for like 14 something thousand. So that's the scale we're talking about when we're talking about this 2020 craze that has seemed to transfer into Japan in 2023. So, yeah, lots of different aspects. Mario Pikachu has been going up. Poncho Pikachus have been going up. The real drastic change I've noticed is in the 10s. The 9s are slowly going pretty sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah, it's pretty nuts. So I know you were looking at the ponchos quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you find out on those?
So I remember looking at them. So I remember it was the Gyarados poncho. Let me try to, I got a bunch of pages open right here. So yeah, the Gyarados poncho. Whenever I sold my first batch of cards to Yeti Gaming, like to try to get the D23 Lurkana set, I specifically remember the PSA 9 was around $1,100. I think it was like 1,300 on eBay. He had it. Probably could have gotten him down to 1,000 if I paid 1,000 cash or something. But anyways, the 9s are kind of going in that regard. Still, there was one about 5 weeks ago, less than 1,100 eBay. And they were around, if I remember, about 1,800 or so in a 10. It was around there. Well, now that card is 2,500. Just sold May 28th, so a few days ago. From this recording, 2,500. There's another one. There was one at 2K, so at March 22nd. So you kind of start seeing the growth then. May 3rd, even though it's still 1,900. But so in the last month or so, we've seen a jump with these 10s. And, now I would say they're probably comfortably around 2,500 at this point. So we are seeing the growth in real time. The ponchos have been the last one so far of the Mario, Luigi, Pikachu, the 20th anniversary Festa. We even talked about this, did we not, Nathan? How we were like, okay, it's going to be 20th anniversary Festa, it's going to be the Mario, Luigi, Pikachu, and eventually it's going to trickle to the ponchos. And look what's happening. It's exactly that. And the 9s, as you mentioned, is kind of slow. The 10s are going up, but the 10s are approaching $3,000 now. The Gyarados one, the big one, the Mega Charizard X, the most unique Poncho Pikachu is pretty much hitting 4K now. So if you looked at it from where is it at? I think I had a price market somewhere for that one. That one was around 2,500 even last year, but in the last few months you start seeing it go up, up, up. And one of the most recent ones was $4,000. And that one's going to be the most expensive out of any in this line. After that, I'll probably say it's a shiny Rayquaza or so, I would say. Maybe the other Mega Charizard. Yeah, this one right here, it's, May 10th, 3,300. May 28th, 4,000, over 40 bids. And that was by Probstein, one of the most biggest sellers there is on eBay for TCG, for Pokemon. I would say that card is probably, we still need to see more. There's not a whole lot coming up. So it's hard to really kind of say what the market is officially. But if you look at the ones that are being asked, so there's several now that are up on auction. There's 2 on auction. They just got posted. You can tell movement is starting to happen. People are paying attention to this. This is the probe scene. They're both probe scene actually. So they're seeing the movement and they're taking advantage of it. They're throwing up on eBay. There's a buy it now. I mean, there's a buy it now. That's 15,000. Is that SM Pratt?
What?
I'm curious if it's. Oh, I was seeing if
Oh, I
this was
see.
SM Pratt's. But no, it's a signed auto is why.
Oh,
So it's a PSA 10 and it's an auto 10. So that makes sense. That's why they're asking that much. I forget what there was a black label I think of the Mega Charizard. If I remember Vince from Yeti, he said it was like $8,000 or $9,000. He sold it for back in fall.
yeah.
This one is going up. Like this is real time. I don't anybody that are interested in these grails in the hobby because that's what they are. In most of these ponchos are around 1,000 or so in terms of PSA 10 pop report. Looking at it right now, let's see. That's an XY promo. Where is it at? The 20th anniversary fest is 800. We remember that. I think it's 1129 for the Mega Charizard. Most of them are around 1,000. I would have to double check on all of them, but most of them are going to be around about 1,000 or so pop report. So overall, 1,000 obviously is like 8 times what the first edition in Charizard is, right?
Yeah.
But 1,000 the pop report still really isn't that much for some of these cards, which are some of the crown jewels in the hobby. 1,000 can still demand high amounts of money. I said, and you kind of like you're like, dude, it's like I think the 20th anniversary Festa is a 50,000 card in 10 years. I do, and
Yeah.
I mean we're a third of the way there.
It'd only have to double, 2 or 3
I
more
mean,
times.
I'm just saying with it's they stand out in the hobby. They do. And they will continue to stand out in the hobby, especially since Pokemon is making moves that go away from those sort of promos, especially as much as they've made. Let's see, I'm looking at the Mega Charizard. This is the Y. This is the yellow one. Let's see how many tens there are. It's not telling me the pop. Here, let's look. I'm on the APR. That's why.
Yeah. Another set of cards that have been experiencing the same. I don't know if you've seen these, but the Scream cards
Around 1,000. Yep.
have been going pretty nuts still too.
Yeah, I mean, so both the Mega Charizard X and Y are both around like the Mega Charizard X is 1053, the Y is 1129. So they're pretty much around the same amount, and I imagine most are going to be around the same. Let's look at the Karazha. Yeah, 1100. The shiny one is around 1100. The other one is just over 1,000. I mean, they're around 1,000. Now that could continue to change, but I mean, I don't think you're looking at much more than that. Maybe 1,500 it reaches, but that's not going to make enough of a difference. So these are the Poncho where people mega battles.
Yeah.
Where's the gear? But anyways, yeah, like they're around 1,000 in a PSA 10. If that says anything, like that's true scarcity, right?
Yeah.
That's not like your Altar Umbreon.
Yeah, and it's like you said, Pokemon's kind of leaning away from doing this. I mean, their solution is make even more amazing cards, hence the Umbreon, but put them in a set to where they're mass produced. So it's like, yeah, if this 20th Festa Pikachu was in a set, it'd be very desirable. It'd be a chase card, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'd be like if they made an alt art that looked like it, it'd go crazy. But, yeah, they just continue. They're putting all their collectability in the artwork. So they know now that they make awesome cards like the Umbreon featuring a nice Pokemon like Umbreon or Charizard or something like that. If they really make a quality card, they can, basically appeal to players, collectors all in one. So, yeah, any promo that we do get, like Special Livery Charizard, Pikachu, Bidoof, those cards, are going to be way more highly produced than anything in the past. So hopefully the days of scarce cards like these promos are over. Even with the Paldea with all the Paldea starters on it. That promo's gotten really cheap. These U Nagaba cards, I think you can buy a pack with one of the cards in it for like under $5. So I think it's random which one you get. But yeah, you can buy all these awesome collabs like super cheap. Anything that is limited, like the Precious Collector box, maybe the special collection coming out the end of this year with the decks in it. You know, that stuff might be a little more tricky, but I think they're learning. I mean, we saw that with Charizard UPC. They went above and beyond on the Charizard UPC, and then they printed that to the ground. So a lot of people were still recovering from that, and you can pick some of those up some sub 100 right now. So
Yeah, I can't even find a PSA 9 in the 20th anniversary Festa.
PSA
Like
nines are
there's only
insane.
58 of them. There's only 58 of them. So compared to 900 or 800 plus of the PSA 10, but I can't even find the like I typed it in PSA 9. There's like none showing up. Let me look at what the last pop was. The last sold, it's a PSA price. They're saying 2,500. It says most recent price is 124. Like it's so they can't even find anything with it. Like 2,500. Like I can't even find it. So that means there's probably hasn't been one sold in the last 90 days, right?
Yeah, probably not. I don't think I've ever seen one go to
Like
auction since like I've been looking. That's the reason why I still have a 10 because you know there for a while I was just buying the nines and selling the tens, but that was one card like I never found the 9 in because it's so rare. And if one pops up, that's the price point like people are more likely to buy. So,
well, and then you have, in addition to those cards you mentioned, kind of to a lesser extent, is the other Festas from that era, like the one with Gengar and Mewtwo. Those are honestly okay. So PSA 10, 2015 Pokemon Japanese promo Battle Festa, the one with the Mega Mewtwo's in the background with Pikachu. That one's a solid card, right? It's not like the most amazing artwork, but that's still a pretty cool card. And a 10, one sold for in early May for just $600, 580. Has Hoopa in the background. I mean, these cards are pretty cool. Like these cards are probably going to be some of the ones that I might even get to because they are pretty neat. That seems undervalued, does it not?
yeah.
$580. Like that seems incredibly like the Altar Umbreon is worth more than that, and that just doesn't seem right to me.
Which card is that again? The
The 2015, this one I'm looking at is the 2015 is
yeah.
the Pokemon Japanese Battle Festa because they have a few of them. The other one is the one with Gengar in the background. They had this one, so they had the one with Gengar, they had the Mewtwo. Then in 2016 they had the 20th anniversary. That's the most famous one. That's the most desirable one.
I want to
But I really like the
say
one with.
they made those all the way through 2018 if I'm not mistaken.
There, yeah, there's something else. There's another one here. Let me just do it and let me change it with 2017. Let's change it to 2014. 2017, we know which one 2016 is.
Yeah. All those other dates have been pretty affordable though cuz the 20th has just been
That's the one with
nuts.
Sylveon, I think. No, that's Gengar. Never mind. Yeah. I think going Gengar is pretty cool. Like Sylveon in the background. That's pretty cool. But yeah, those cards, like we were mentioning, like these cards, they're kind of still under the radar. I would even have said Mario. When you got your Mario, we were even talking about how we feel like they're undervalued because they are some of the crown jewels in the hobby, and I still say they're undervalued. I really do.
Yeah.
I think the 9 should be around $5,000. I think the 10 should be around 10 grand. I absolutely do.
Yeah, the 20th Festa with this last month's hike, like that makes sense to me. I don't see how it can go much higher though right now, maybe down the road, but yeah, if that thing's went up that much, then yeah, you're talking maybe 5 to 6 for Mario. Um Then maybe the Scream cards. Like
Those are the next ones. Yeah.
for some reason, yeah, I imagine the Scream cards right where they're at to be just fine. But I'm sure we'll see those go up a little more. But yeah, it's just insane all around. Um, I don't know. I can't recommend people to buy into this, like, because things have went up so much in the last month for these
With the
promos.
20th
But
anniversary, I would say no. The 20th anniversary at this point, stay pat, because that's a lot of money. But I would say everything else, go for it now, straight up. I mean, if you're talking about you worry about the Mario, it's already doubled since last year. The PSA 9. If you look at it, like this time last year, they were like 13,400 bucks, 1,400 bucks.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I can tell people, you can't go wrong with this card, but does the pricing make sense? Like I said, a lot of people are looking at 2020 and they're afraid of a crash already, even though it's been going on a month. But like we said, Japanese, especially Japanese promos, is a different beast. These aren't mass-produced cards; these were before the hype, um, and yeah, they're super identifiable, and major staples in the hobby for sure. So, yep, gotta make your plans.
And
We shared our Collecticon plans for a while now, and still trying to figure out. I might be bringing quite a bit more to Collecticon than I thought because you never know, what could happen. I might bring my 9 Mario because, I do have the potential to sell all those things I'm still planning on selling and maybe the Mario as well and upgrading. So there's always a chance there.
I might bring my settled Lorcana and just see what offers I get.
Yeah, I was thinking of
If
bringing that too, just seeing because
if
you never know
somebody
what's
gives
there.
me if somebody gives me a 50K cash offer, I'm probably selling right then and there, straight up. But I don't think anybody's going to do that because that's above what the market is for my cards. Even though I think it's worth it, I don't think somebody will do it. But if you get 50K cash offer, that's something where that's pretty hard to ignore. But I doubt that'll happen. But there was a guy that sold. You remember hearing this? It was at the Denver Con. Somebody sold a 10 set for like 25K.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah. They met up, they sold it, and then they met up in person.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
like I don't know. And then another thing that we talked about that to get your move on was the EV Hero Bucks. Um, when I sold mine, well, we even talked about it on here. We were like, I don't know, I can't remember if it was on here or if it was through like or like communication that we were saying. I was like, I hate the fact that I'm selling this, but it's worth it because it's going towards Lorcana because I could see on eBay it was pushing upwards between $700-800. It was like, but it was still there were some that was like 720, 750, some that were like 620, 650, but like you could see the trend going based on who the prices that were on eBay, like buy it now. It's not auctions, buy it now, is what they were asking for. And I was like, man, this thing's about to push $800. And I was like, I had to move it quick. I had to move it ASAP to try to get enough to be able to go for the set. And I ended up selling it off eBay. Some guy messaged me, and then we communicated Instagram. It was like 570. I sold it for to try to get the money ASAP. And I mean, now they're pushing almost 1,200. 1,300. I see one is the best offer. It's one of those things where I don't regret it because I put it in something that went up 2,000% with what I put into it, so it was worth it. But it just sucks because I sold it literally like a month, like 2 months before it hit the next price point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes you kind of have to make those decisions. I wouldn't say make decisions like that unless you know it's incredibly worth it.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta plan it. It sucks to sell when you don't realize the gains, but if that money immediately goes into something else, which, I highly suggest planning out. With us it was the Lorcana where we realized we need to sell some things that we may not have wanted to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was Lorcana, and then I sold all my tens in Lorcana to buy the nines because I kind of used it as a double whammy. So I sold stuff to get Lorcana, traded down for Lorcana, used that money to also buy those promos. So yeah, it was not an ideal time to sell Lorcana, especially the tens. Could have waited, but in doing so, I had a plan and I put that money into something else that I believed in. And now here we are. Good thing I did. And same with you. Like, yeah, it wasn't an ideal time, especially not now, according to your beliefs. It's not good to sell Lorcana unless you got that cash offer. And yeah, I'm sure you would immediately look towards something like those promos as well if you
I would
did
get the
sell.
Mario. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's. I was kind of potentially thinking about including the ponchos. Like this whole time, the plan was Mario, Luigi, Pikachu, complete most of my binder sets. But seeing the movement on these, I'm inclined to skip the binder set altogether and go straight for the promos, straight for the ponchos and the Mario, Luigi, Pikachu. Because the way things are going, these nines are about to be $1,500 before the end of the year.
Yeah.
The way things are going, and I would say that's adequate. I think that I think the 10 should be between $25 and $4,000 based on which one you're looking at. Likewise, I think the 9 should be between $1,200 and $1,700. It's one of those things where I hate saying this because I'm the one that's going to be buying it, but I was going to be putting towards about 3,000 towards the binder set, so I might as well get the ones that I want. And I mean, I want the Rayquaza line and the Magikarp line, and I think which ones I go for is probably going to be Shiny Rayquaza, and it's probably going to be the Carp.
Yeah.
Go after my two favorite ones I want, get those off the table, and then eventually get the other two, or just say screw it and just get all of them at one time, and just kind of there's money I was going to put towards like being able to flip, obviously, just kind of take a hit on the short run and just get that out of the way because then I got all my grails done. Mario, Luigi, Pikachu, well, almost all the grails, but like the main ones.
Yeah.
Like there's other ones like the Astro Ninja and like a 10 or something like that with its Satoshi mark, but like those are so niche for the time being that I'm okay being patient with those.
Yeah. It's like for me, I still have those, like that first edition ungraded set. I don't really care about the non hollows. Yeah, it'd be nice to grade the whole set and have that as like a personal collection item, but it's like those cards are always going to be way more available than these promos. So, do I need to make a
Well,
decision about those right now, or even my gold stars? Like, I just need to think about it. So, pretty insane.
let me look at one thing we didn't mention was the beauty looking back Pikachu. You said it was reaching, I mean, $600. This most recent one was 400. Here,
Yeah, I
let's
think
see.
I think they were running about 400 or so, if I
They
remember
were,
right.
but
Maybe
they
350 at the
were.
all-time low.
I think mine. I sold mine based on 450 price evaluation is what I sold mine a few months ago. But that was kind of towards the low. Um, so I kind of knew that those were going to increase. But here's the thing with these: I wouldn't be so concerned about these because of there's a lot of these in tens. There was, I think, 80,000 made. So just do the math with the how
Relative
well
to
they,
how common they are, though, you don't see as many as you think you would. Like, you do see a lot, but you don't see as many as you think you should on eBay. Because that was still during 2021 when it was
I mean,
pretty scarce
just
to
2 weeks
print.
ago, it's weird because okay, so there's one that sold just last week, and it's May 28th for 700, but then just 2 weeks before it was 400.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what it's been. I think people are starting. This is where a card people are starting to freak out a little bit. Um, this is a card that there's a lot of them. There's a lot of these that I can't imagine. Maybe I could see him hitting 1,000, but I can't see him hitting much more than that simply because of how many that there are.
Yeah.
I'm
But
actually
it
going to.
is one of those cards that fall into that, unique, desirable promo
Yeah, it
that
is.
is also below 1,000, which a lot of those cards are not below 1,000. So it is in that weird category where it hangs with the big boys as far as the artwork, but it is still, because of the factors you said, so cheap. But maybe that's why people are starting to hoard this one. And, based on the other promos, it should be more expensive. But based on the numbers and it being 2021 and not 2016, it makes sense. But it's kind of safe to say, like, if any card was,
6,000.
yeah, if any card was supposed to be pushing 1,000 out of those cards like that, that's a good one to bet on. So
Well, it's there. There's over 6,000 tens of that card.
yeah, yeah, it'll take a while,
6,300.
but
And like, it's what is that? 65, 6,300, almost 6,400 out of 7,200. That is, what is that, like a 90%? Like, that tells you anything? I'm just saying. But you're right. I mean, yeah, you are right with that mentality. If you buy it now this cheap, like I wouldn't buy it right now if they're kind of going up. That's probably, I would wait to let it settle. But that's one of those cards. If you buy three at like $400 and a 10, that's a card that probably will hit kind of between 700 and 1,200 because it is unique. And it's one of those things that could easily go up in value within a few years. Like within, so let's look at, say, just like 5 years, right? So 20 or 5 years from its release, let's say 2026, 2027. That's a card that could be $1,000, And that if you bought a lot of them at like 400, 400, and bought them raw, or even, I mean, that would be a good play, but that's a lot of money in one card for that long.
yeah, yeah, it's one of those, like you said, it's safe to go up, but
I
yeah,
like the
it'll
Cramorant
be
more
a
than
little
anything.
it'll be a little longer play. I have grown to like the Cramorant a little bit.
Like,
Where I only wanted the Beauty Pikachu, but now I kind of want to keep both.
I liked it. I mean, I know they're both like paying homage to like a famous art, right? But I just like that one immediately. I just think, I don't know, like I do like, it is unique. Like the Pikachu one is good, but like I do like the Cramorant more. And the Cramorant one just sold today 165, so that one's pretty much been steady this whole time. 150. It's been pretty much around that price now for a while. And it's, if it were any other Pokemon besides, if it were like a, with that artwork, if it were like, I don't know, an Articuno or something, it would be
Yeah,
probably double. It would be double what it is.
yeah, yeah. It is. It is a very cool one, though. I've grown to like the Cramorant, but knowing that I've grown to like the Cramorant, it's like, well, dang. Now, if I just like one set of cards, should I buy them all? Like, should I buy the Luigi because I like the Mario so much? Should I buy back all the Scream promos because I like the Mimikyu so much? So,
Well, with the Mario and Luigi, you can't have one without the other, in my opinion. That's the way I associate those two and always will. And like, you were the younger brother too, right? But your brother
yeah,
was a little bit older. But for me, I was the younger, and I always had to play second. I mean, anybody that was the younger brother knows exactly what I'm talking about. Always had to
get
be
that
number two.
Luigi.
Yeah, Nick can never be number one. Always had to be Luigi. Same thing with everything. And it was one of those things where nowadays, like for like Mario Party, it's kind of funny actually. With like Mario Party, anytime I could choose Mario, I chose Mario, and he's a character I play to this day. And I swear, in the original Mario parties, it was biased towards Mario. I swear to God. It could not have been just me being, look, there had to be a slight variance towards Mario in the original three Mario parties. It's like if you put on bonuses, I swear, I always got the star. Like if you put on like bonuses, like randomly get bonuses, you move and like there's like the block and you hit it, it's star, boom.
The next star
Anyway,
spawns right in front of you.
yeah, or something like that. It always, but you know how it is with Mario Party. Whoever's in the lead in the final five turns becomes a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Everybody just goes after you. Alliances are thrown out the window. Everybody backstabs everybody. Um, but no, it's one of those things where I have to have both. I have to have Mario and Luigi. I can't just have just one. Now the ponchos, it changes a little bit, but that's kind of like I don't need all of them, but I do kind of want like the Gyarados line and like the Rayquaza line. But if I had to just get one, I would just get the Magikarp and I would just get the shiny Rayquaza, and I would be happy with just those two. But I would like them all. But like with the screen promos, I don't need all the screen promos. Those are cool. I was happy with just the Kamiya artwork.
Yeah.
Actually, what are those going for? You said they're going up. They were about what 200 for the longest time, and a 9.
Which one's the Screams?
Yeah, the stream side. The PSA 10 was hitting 600-700 last year. Holy shit!
What you seeing on those?
uh, well, the 10s. So they were 600-700 sometime last year. They doubled. This guy bought it now on May 31st for $2,000. Another one in an auction for May 28th, 1,700. 1,300 buy it now, so the guy overpaid. I would say, I mean, yeah. I thought about stretching for that 10 too back in the day. I didn't have the money at the time though. Now I kind of wish I would have done it. The whole set was sold for just over 9,000 last week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to find my
20.
Excel sheet here.
Yeah, so let's see the 9 because the 10s were 600-700 like this time last year. I swear. Here, let's see if the eBay's price trend will say anything. Sometimes it's pretty. Yep, here it is. So 645, June 13th, 2022. I told you. So it's doubled in a whole year. And I would say that's pretty accurate. I don't know what the pop report is on those. I would have to look it up. But that one was free, right? It was the one you had to pay was the Mimikyu and Pikachu at the Scream exhibit.
Yeah, those were the big ones.
Yeah,
the Pikachu you got in person, then the Mimikyu you had to buy something. So Mimikyu's the most expensive.
And what's pop report. I think this is it. Here we go. Munch, here side up, 286 Munch. There it is. That's 172, so around 1,000 again. 9s, there's a lot. So yeah, those cards, the biggest issue with the Psyduck was the centering. That's why there's so many 9s. There's almost triple the amount of 9s. So 1,072 10s for the Munch Psyduck and 29 9s. But yeah, the centering was the biggest issue with those. It wasn't like corners or dings. It was just centering, which is god awful with those. So that's probably why some of the 10s are the way they are. All the ones I was trying to eye were kind of like that. So yeah, even the 9s have gone up. The 9s are now 300. When I bought yours, it was like what 150.
Yeah, something maybe 250.
I don't think it was that much, but it did. Like those have gone up. So those have doubled as well. But, the price makes sense, right? There's almost triple the amount of 9s, and those are 300 compared to the 1,300 for the 10s. Like, that makes sense. There's going to be a big price disparity there. And those 9s will trickle up, too. But that might be one I get in a 10 eventually, but that's like low priority since I already have a card.
Yeah. Trying to find some things that I sold here.
But again, we've been saying this all episode. Like, these are the crown jewels in the hobby. These are the cards that stand out. Like the Scream, like the Munch promos are some of the most unique promos that they've ever made. And guess what? It's a collaboration card, and it does well. And guess what? The Mario Pikachu are a collaboration card. It does well. This is why I want to see what we both want to see more collaborations in the future. It doesn't have to be Goku. It doesn't have to be Naruto or Ichigo. It can be the Da Vinci. That'd be cool.
How much is the
Da Vinci
How much is the Rowlett PSA 10 Scream going for? It's probably like the least desirable one.
Yeah. Because you got your Kamiya collectors going after the... those are 187 and 9. So 200. One just sold.
Were they in a 10?
Let me see. Best offer accepted on 688. So less than 700. Best offer less than 700. Best offer less than 700. This one had got 700. So even that one's going up. It looks like
Yeah, I sold mine
610 on a bit.
October 22, not even a year ago, for $200.
Tripled. So we're seeing it in real time. All of these.
And I think I have a sale. How much is the Eevee and a 9? Sold that for $200 as well.
The EV's probably going to be higher because it's EV.
And a 9, I'm guessing that's
Oh, and a
600
9.
as
Oh, you
well.
want it? Well, the 10 is around 2,400. Just under 2,400. 9 is about 400. One was just sold today. And 470 on the 31st, so 3 days ago.
All right, one more. What is the Pikachu in a 10? Because that one I sold during hype. And that's a card actually.
One sold May 31st. Buy it now for 4,000. Best one had a buy it now or best offer. Somebody paid the full 3,500. That was the 28th. 26 best offer at 3,400. 3,500 May 25th. So yeah, then this guy overpaid. It looks like they bought it now at 5K. Maybe that sale drew all these other ones out. It's hard to say. But yeah, it's pretty comfortably around $3,500, $4,000 right now. What'd you sell yours for?
I think it was around 3,000. Let me look.
So it's gone back on that. It's gone. I mean, he sold well. I mean, now it's gone back up there. It took a while, but
And that was during hype too. I timed it well, but now it's like back up. So.
And then the Mimikyu. Let's do the Mimikyu. I'm curious because that was the rarest one. Did you sell your 10 Mimikyu, or did you keep the 10 and buy the 9?
I sold the 10 and bought the 9.
Those are 6,000 and a 10. But that's just one buy now. The Mimikyu is probably one of the coolest though, because the design of that Pokemon goes well with the background. So best offer take a look at this. So March 23rd, best offer accepted. They listed at $3,999.99. So basically 4K, right? And that was March 23rd. Best offer accepted, listed at just under 4K. On May 27th, so was it just last week, buy it now at $6,000. And the guy has a 100% feedback on just over 900 ratings, so a legit seller.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of nuts, actually. Like, these are all the Japanese promos, and this is all in the last 4 to 6 weeks we're seeing this, and it's deservingly so. I really think that. You have all these cards from, like, they're mass producing, like we just saw, right? Just like last week, Pokemon produced more than cards ever in 1 year. They broke the record from last year. 9.7 billion cards they made this past year. From March 2022 to March 2023, they made 9.7 billion, up 600 million from the previous year, which was 9.1 billion.
Yeah.
So
Before
you
that,
have
it was
that.
like 4 billion or something, wasn't?
Yeah,
So.
they don't have good records before 2016. They kind of have it with like era. Like from 2016, it's legit. You know these numbers are accurate. Before then, it's just kind of an estimation. Was it like between WotC and like 2015 or 2016? It was like 14 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
And then now we're at like 60 billion. Like if that puts it in perspective, like where we're at now. So you can just, yes, I know that Altar Umbreon was like 1 in 1,100 cards and all that, but art is truly iconic. It is truly incredible. It has this Van Gogh Starry Night sort of feel, and it is an incredible card, but it's still staying at like $10 or $1,000. I mean, and what's weird is I think eventually it makes sense for that card to be there. Okay, it's going down. It's 1,100. The Japanese with 6K makes sense that was even harder to pull.
Yeah.
So 1,100 and a 10. I don't know. I think it should be around 800 to 900 personally.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of cooled off a little bit, and sliding down. It will be slow, but yeah,
If you
it's
bought
left
it
the
at seventeen
highs.
hundred, yeah, if you from one of those guys that bought it at 1700, you use it as a lesson learned.
Yep, just take it.
1800, yeah, just take the L. Take the L. We all did it. I did it dirt with a few of my cards, like the RCS cards. I don't even know what the fours and fives are going for, but I know I overpaid on those. At the time, I didn't think they would go down as much as they did, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, you got to live and learn, right? Like, so learning from 2020 and like the errors, like buying, when to buy and sell, and all that. I saw the same like sort of factors, and I applied those factors to the Lorcana that was occurring back in like October or November. I sold the card at the time at the all time high for the PSA 9 at like $1,400, and I was like, I can't believe I got it. I can't believe I got it. Somebody else sold it for like 1450 after me or something like that, and then it started going down. I'm like, yes, yes, timed that perfectly. And now it's about half there, right? And
yeah,
I got mine end up being like $1,200 or something, like end up being like, because of the sales tax, it was just over 1,300. Kind of wish at the time I would have made the eBay vault thing and just had it sent there, so I saved like $100 on sales tax. But going forward, that's what I plan on doing. But it's just one of those things you just kind of have to live and learn. You gotta understand that you're in a FOMO situation and not just YOLO it with your money. You
yeah,
got to be smart about it. Unless you just have plenty of money, just doesn't care. But a lot of people our generation don't quite have that, and being smart about money is what helps you be able to be more successful later on.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just crazy right now. You really gotta plan it out, learn your lessons. And a lot of people who bought into the 2020 hype without experience, got burned out or lost a lot of money. But even in a so-called downward market, there's moves to be made. But hobby still, once again, growing stronger than ever and very hot, especially on the Japanese side. So there's always moves. There's always a bull market somewhere, and yep, it's pretty nuts. A lot of people said, when we getting back to the 2020 hype, like we're still in it. So you just got to look in the right places. Might not be
The
modern
AR,
English anymore, but
yeah, I
it's
was gonna say
somewhere.
the AR4 that I bought. That's the Kuki Saito, or not that's the Saito artwork, the ice one. That one's about 450. I
Yep.
bought mine for like 700, so that's gone down. But I knew that one would be like the main one. That one, the RCS AR5, which I can't even find a PSA 10 because those were the least pop report wise. I don't know how many there still are, but I can't even find a 10 on the previous sold. I'm trying to, but like I can't find it.
Yeah, and those are just one of those things like too niche, like very good for the price, but don't know if they'll ever get the limelight
No,
like 20th
no.
anniversary or all those get.
Yeah, no, they'll never go that high. It's one of those cards where they could hit a grand a piece though, because they are pretty cool. And they anything. So this is so that's what that's Gen 4. Anything before black and white has a chance of doing well. Now I know it's kind of like kind of like I don't want to say the lost era, but like things are slowly getting back. But
Yeah, it's
this
just a matter of
era,
like how niche it is and like
yeah,
how
yeah,
important it is to people because there are a lot of cards in that forgotten era. So
there are that are good.
that's exactly what it is, forgotten. So
Forgotten for all time. I can't even see a 10 on eBay. Holy shit. I can't even see a 10. That's weird. I mean, I assume that card's around the same amount as the 4, around 4 or 500. But yeah, I bought that one for around 6, 700. So yeah, those cards have gone down a little bit, but not a whole lot. The other ones are what plummeted. I bought the average was like 350, 400. Now they're under 200. So yeah, they have gone down a lot. But
yeah,
again, those are other ones where I sold almost all the other ones to help fund the Lorcana. So it was just one of those things that it was worth it to me. I took the L because I saw a chance to increase the gains that I've lost from buying these cards. So
yeah, that's how you gotta look at it. But anyway, I think time wise, we're kind of crunching. Um,
Hmm.
if you got questions, we can hit them or we can save them for next time or anything.
It's not really. It's pretty quick. It goes with what we just did. It's kind of 1 5 year and 10 year projections on some of the Japanese promos. We don't have to do all of them, but I think it'd be kind of fun. It just kind of goes with what we had. I don't know if you wanted to do that or not.
Yeah, let's do. Yeah, let's do the ponchos, the 20th, and the Mario, I guess.
Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and begin with the Mega Charizard, Poncho Pikachu, and a PSA 10. Right now, the most recent one sold in a 4. Where do you think it's going to be in 1, 5, and 10 years?
So 4,000 as a 10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In 1 year. 1 year, I think it'll be. If one just sold at 4,000, I think one in a year would be between 4,000 and 5,000. I don't think it'll go up too much more.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
About 5 years, I think you might be looking at 7, 8,000. So maybe double.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
10 years, though, man, I don't know.
That's where it gets interesting because our generation is going to start having significant higher buying power. You're talking about more individuals receiving inheritance, people in more of their main job that they're going to work at, so they have a higher income. So that's what makes it interesting. That allows the hobby to grow.
Yeah, barring everything, like if Pokemon continues on their path of, you know, not doing much more of these cards, then yeah, I think maybe 10 to 14,000 would be the range there.
I kind of agree. I'm thinking maybe upwards of 20K in 10 years, though, for that one. Um, Now, kind of going with all the other contributions, because more or less they're about the same. The maybe shiny is about 10% higher than the others, but the shiny Rayquaza. But I would say you're looking at in a year you're looking about 3 to 3,500, maybe 4,000. 5 years you're looking at 6 to 7,000. 10 years you're looking between 10 and 15,000. That's kind of what I'm thinking with all the other Poncho Pikachu's.
Yeah. What about the old Mario?
The old Mario. So it's already doubled in the last year. I don't see it doubling within the next year. I think I've been saying since last year it's going to be about 3, maybe 3,509 at most within the next year. So I'm going to stick to that. Now in 5 years, I think in a 10 you're looking between, or in a 9 you're looking between 5 and 7,000. I think in 10 years and a 9, you're looking at about 10 to 15,000. And a 10, you're looking, I think, between 20 and 30,000, like so around 25,000 for that card. It's going to be more than the Mega Charizard Poncho. So if we think about 20,000 in 10 years, I'm thinking about 25 to 27,000 ish in a 10 for that card.
Yeah.
Now, the 20th anniversary festive.
Yeah. This one's thrown me like way for a loop because yeah, like a month ago I would have said maybe 6 to 8,000 in a year, but over the last month it's went from 6 to 15. So I don't know. In a year I would say maybe 12. I think the hype dies
Yeah,
down. I think it pulls back
yeah,
slightly.
I agree. I think it's in the last month, it's almost doubled. I don't think that's sustainable. I think 10 to 15,000 within the next year seems accurate. Um,
Yeah, maybe 5 years down the road it'll be a healthy 15, maybe 20. And in 10 years maybe 20, 25. I don't think it'll like
Hit
reach
50?
insane heights, but it'll always be like a major staple. But
I think you're looking at about 40,000 in a PSA 10.
Yeah,
You,
I like
you
your
kind
estimates for my
of.
personal gain, but I just don't see.
I think the main reason being is the economic growth that's going to occur with our generation in the hobby. You kind of saw this. Yes, there was like a huge downtrend in the early '90s for the sports world. I don't see that occurring with Pokemon, but now we're seeing crazy highs on a lot of these cards. And I think with the buying power, if you include buying power and just standard like 4% or so of inflation a year, I think $40,000 to $50,000 in 10 years isn't that crazy because that's probably the equivalent of like $30,000 now, $35,000 now, without doing any math, just kind of like gauging it. You know what I mean? So I think that isn't far off, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
And with less than 1,000 PSA 10s, with it being one of the most iconic cards in the hobby, Kanto starters, I mean, it's it's got everything working for it. Literally every single factor it has working for it, and because of that, I am I got a very bull run aspect on it.
yeah,
Bullish. I'm very bullish is the proper term. But yeah,
yeah. It's got it all, but that's a big number though.
it is. It is. But I mean, I think it's justified because if you look at the cards, yes, you have set cards of first edition with the natural scarcity and with how many were able to be tens. And if you look at other cards in the hobby, there's few cards that are able to have that kind of pull.
Yeah,
And with it being in XY era during the first, well, I guess the second, if you count the first initial like craze for Pokemon, 2016 era, like the biggest hype that we saw at that point, and then we saw like 5 years later the third biggest hype, or I should say, but the next biggest hype, and those cards were well known and a part of the hobby. So you have everybody in this hobby that are familiar with, well, I should say everybody, but a lot of people are familiar with those cards, and they stand out even to this day. And
yeah,
I think with those factors and those standing out, and as we get further removed from that era, you have another factor of nostalgia that comes with it. In addition to the childhood factor, you have this youth, this like teenage college nostalgia, kind of like, you know, the Pokemon Go when that started. And then you have the 2020 nostalgia that goes like, oh, I remember those cards. I think those factors allow it to have multi-generational with individuals in the hobby. The people that collect the old, the people that collect the new, the people that collect both. I think they both enjoy those cards, and because of that, it reaches the general audiences within the hobby. Because of that, it's going to reach heights that we might not see with a lot of other cards.
yeah,
Essentially, they might not be quote unquote trophies, but they're going to be just as viable.
yeah. They will for sure like
Yeah.
remain the icons. Yeah, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. If a Kanga could go for $50,000, $60,000, that's like boring as hell. But it reaches those heights because of the scarcity and its place in the hobby. I see no reason why something like a Mario, Pikachu, or cards like that couldn't reach.
Yeah,
Because it's kind of it's similar on a different scale, right? With what the Umbreon is. The Umbreon is what it is because of social media hype and the individuals that make that their Grail card from those that have came into the hobby. And because of that, I think that outweighs the difference in numbers compared to the Kanga that merits its price. That's my opinion on it, anyways.
yeah, yeah. We'll see. I hope it goes to your numbers, but yeah, we'll we'll see what's going on.
Yeah.
But I better get off here.
Yep.
I've been kind of dragging the last half of the episode because my allergies are getting to me. But
Okay.
hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Should be shaping up to be quite good timing for our Collecticon visit. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully the Japanese market still going strong because I got a lot of Japanese slabs I'll be trying to sell. So yeah, I might bring my heavy hitters to trade the nines and some cash for maybe upgrades. So maybe I'll make a little video here soon showing you guys everything and laying out my plans, and maybe we can record some video at Collecticon to show you those deals. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. and we'll see you in the next one.
See y'all later. Peace.